All right, guys. So, guess what's back? You remember the Honda Accord with the three unplugged ignition coils, and the other shop told them that it had something to do with the camshafts. So, yeah, we plugged it back in, and it's fine. And then I also removed the spark plugs to inspect it because I did mention that I think it was burning oil because it was low in oil, and I guess I forgot to press the record button when I pulled those spark plugs out. Thought I'd check the dipstick, right? And of course, no oil on the dipstick. Let's check the. Let me take a look at the. What do you call it? The oil life on the dash. What's my oil life? Okay, it's 70%. I guess it might have had an oil change at some point. Okay, so topped up the oil. It took about 2 liters, right? So yeah, it's on the dipstick now. All right, so I decided to lift it up to take a look underneath, see if it's leaking any kind of oil. But it's pretty dry as a bone. You can see somebody did an oil change. You know, typical quick lube shops. You know, oil filter aftermarket. But yeah, it's completely dry. There's no oil, but it's pretty rusty under here, especially in the back. Yeah, so it's either one, they didn't put enough oil, or two, it's burning oil. So guess what? It's back, and this time the customer wants the piston rings done so it can stop burning oil. But I guess I can actually show you this time what the spark plug looks like because it's got a cylinder 1 misfire now, and the customer wants to do the piston rings. So this time I'm going to pull out those spark plugs and I'll show you, because what I think is they only replaced the 3 spark plugs in the back. You know, 1, 2, and 3, but 4, 5, and 6 doesn't look like they have been replaced. So that's what it looks like to me. I don't know how many spark plugs he's been putting into it, or the other shop's been putting into it, but for us here, there's no history. So other than the one time where the 3 ignition coils were unplugged, and then this time for cylinder 1 misfiring. But yeah. So no history. I just told the customer we'll recommend piston rings, and if we find anything while we're taking things apart, then cost will go up on the repair kind of thing, right? And maybe it does have camshaft issues. I don't know. Don't know until we start taking it apart. So, anyways, I'll pop open the hood, right, and then I'll pull out those spark plugs and I'll show you what I saw back. I can't remember when it was. I don't know how many months was it ago, but yeah, I'll show you what I see. All right, so I popped out the spark plugs. This time I remembered to record. I pressed the record button, but it's worse now. This is cylinder 1, right? You can see how bad it is, right? And then you can see number 2, and then number 3. But at the same time, they look at these spark plugs. They look like they've been replaced because these look pretty new, right? Especially when the porcelain looks like that, and then your 3, 4, and 5, the porcelain looks like that. So I feel like they've only replaced the back 3 for maybe because of misfiring and all that kind of stuff. But you can see these are the old spark plugs. It's my opinion, because you usually see the the dark, I don't know what you call it, on the porcelain, but on these ones they're like nice and clean, other than my dirty fingers has touched it. So yeah, I recommended piston rings. But other than that, I also mentioned that if we find anything else while we're taking it apart, then cost will go up. So I think this was I looked at history. It was like three almost 4 months ago. So now it's come back for a cylinder 1 misfire, which was this guy. So yeah, now he wants to do piston rings. So what I'm going to do is drain the oil, drain the coolant, take the exhaust off, work everything underneath, take the belt off, take the timing belt off, and then take the intake manifold off, take the valve covers off, and then we'll bust off those head bolts, and then we'll start popping out those pistons. So yeah, so we're only going to do the that side because this side looks pretty good. If you look at these spark plugs, even if maybe they're original, I don't know, but they don't look too bad. Way better than the other side. Doesn't look like they're burning oil. Probably just wet because I just drove this thing in, right? You can see how that spark plug looks good compared to those really dark ones. Yeah, anyway, let's get started. All right, now I got this, the oil draining, the coolant draining. So I'm not going to be able to get these bolts off. So what I do is I just take the entire exhaust off. These bolts are easy enough. There's more material to remove those bolts, so I'll just get myself a torch, heat those up, and then same thing with the front here. Remove those bolts, and then I'll just remove the entire exhaust. I guess with this Accord, I can take the catalytic converter out with the cylinder head because there's more space up top. On the Odysseys, the cowl kind of overhangs the back bank, so usually I unbolt the cat and then leave it hanging off to the side and just remove the head. But this one I'll probably just pull it out with the entire cylinder head. That way it's going to be pretty heavy. Yeah, other than that, just waiting for this to drain, and then make sure I have all my parts when the parts department gets me all my parts. Alright, so I got the exhaust entirely out. Had to use the torch. Some of these bolts are not a 14 anymore, they're a 13. I had to have a 13 on there. So yeah, next, what I'm going to do, I am going to remove that, take the oil pan off. Alright guys, so popped off the oil pan. Doesn't look too bad. Typical, varnish in the oil pan. Also underneath. When you take on a customer that has no service records or anything here, you're kind of taking a risk of, what might be the condition of the engine, especially once you take off the, oil pan and then pop off those bearing caps, and hopefully those bearings are okay once you take them off, and it doesn't need any more required parts, you know what I mean, like that CRV I had. So anyways, I'm gonna pull off the take off the windage tray, and then get another pan so it can keep dripping in there. Yeah, so now I'm just gonna take off the the belt, and then the timing belt, and then the intake plenum, and then there's also a crossover pipe on the back side of the head that goes from one head to the other, I guess. So I think that's it. Pretty close. Alright guys, so I took the valve cover off, and lo and behold, I guess the other shot was correct. The camshafts are no good. And let me show you the first one. It looks pretty rough. Let's see it. There you go. That's a lot better. That's what it looks like. Here's the other one. Can't see it on the camera, but where I'm aiming. But that's the other cam lobe. Yeah, that's what that one looks like. So you know what you can do to compensate for all that wear on that lobe? Just do a valve adjustment. No, I'm just joking. That's not what we're doing. But we already told the customer, in case because we have no history of this customer, servicing the car here. We already told them that yeah, whatever we find, it is what it is, right? So if we do find there's something wrong with the camshafts, then we're gonna look into the cost of the repair is going to be more. Now that I see that, I'm going to take off this valve cover and check the camshafts on this side, because if that one looks like that, I'm pretty sure this side's going to look pretty similar, probably. Just to be sure, that way we can let the customer know the full details, I guess. Yeah, other than that, gonna get the service advisor here. I'm gonna show him, and then he's gonna call the customer, see what he wants to do, and then yeah. So yeah, this is the other bank. So I took the valve cover off. It looks dirty, pretty dirty, but this camshaft on this side looks pretty good. I don't know if I can show you, but rotating it, you can see the rollers on the rocker arms. They look pretty good. Just really dirty. Oh, that's the advisor over there. He's the one dealing with this one, and also 4 other guys over there. That's also his work order. So he's doesn't have the mental capacity to do anything right now. So yeah, we're gonna see what the customer wants to do. This thing's on hold now, so go on to do something else. All right, so to give the customer like a full picture of what's going to be done, I popped off one of the connecting rods furthest away from the oil pump. Right, that's the oil pump there. That's the one of the connecting rods in the back, right? And just to inspect the bearings. This one has a pretty deep groove into it, but it's not like it's worn down to copper, right? The coating is still there. It's just that one deep groove. I don't know, maybe something got some kind of debris or something that got stuck on there and caused it to wear a groove. but if you look at the crank where that bearing is, it's there's no groove. So it's always constantly dripping oil. But there's no groove there. So it's, you know, the bearing took most of the wear, I guess, from whatever debris went through it. All right, so it's been like a couple of weeks, probably wondering what's going on with the Accord. Well, for you, it's like seconds, but yeah. So we actually put everything into boxes and put it in the car, and we pushed it out. And it's like 2 weeks later because we were waiting for the customers, you know, to respond on what they want to do because they needed camshafts. I also quoted for rollers because you want to give the camshafts the you know, the best chance it can have, right, with a new camshaft and everything. And yeah, so I guess the price of the camshaft, rollers, the cam seals, and, you know, all the additional parts was, I guess, more than what the customer anticipated. So what we're going to do is we're going to put everything back together, and he's going to take it as is. And if you're wondering if I'm just going to slap everything back together and then, you know, kick the car out, no, I am actually going to clean everything, put all the new gaskets that I need, that, you know, because I removed stuff, and then clean all the surfaces for, you know, gaskets and stuff. And yeah, so then we still have a running engine because it ran coming in, so it's going to run coming out, and hopefully not leak any oil, you know what I mean? All right, so silicone had time to dry. I you know, cleaned the oil pan, also changed the O-ring in the pickup, and you should really change these O-rings on the pickups because they're hard and dry, also flat too. All right, so pretty much everything's back together, just a couple more things. I got to put the exhaust back, the crossbar, yeah, so got to wait till somebody starts their shift so somebody can help me lift it underneath the car. So yeah, but anyways, I think that's it. Pretty much this is what it's like. It's not like it doesn't happen. You know, when customer finds out that, hey, it's going to cost more than what they anticipated, they're gonna, you know, decide to completely stop. And plus I only have a few hours into it, so that's okay. And yeah, and I think this customer is just gonna sell the car as is. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you next time. All right, everything's back together, and of course it's running, you know, because it did run coming in. It's gonna run going out, right? But, you know, yeah, didn't do very much. I just took the oil pan off just to check the you know, connecting rod bearings to see if they're okay, and then pop off the valve covers and see what the camshafts look like. So not much labor into it. And yeah, didn't remove the head bolts, didn't remove the timing belt, so that's all good.